At the end of the video, Uhuru Kenyatta can be heard to refer to what I believe may have been my phone call when he says in the Kikuyu language, "The way you have called me, call me again and I will come." Corroborative evidence from confidential witness 11, EVD, PT, D13, 00535 at page 0652. And at paragraph 18, he refers to being present when Uhuru Kenyatta went to trouble stops and told people not to do what other people were doing, namely destroying things. And he refers and attached the footage to his statement that you've seen as he recorded that film. As he goes on to say, Uhuru also initiated with ODM MPs such as Fred Ngumo to bring peace. I saw him hold his arm, which I recorded, and Uhuru was assuring the people that there would be peace and that security would be taken seriously. And he attached footage to his statement. I'd like the court now to see some photographs of this peace tour that took place. Can we see EVD PT D13 00532, and it's a photo taken by the witness on the 1st of February 2008.
Units, I just want to indicate for the record that this is a confidential document.
Yes, this photo can be public. I'm sorry. Yeah. Is it possible to show it?
It's not coming up. It's not going on here. Okay.
There we are. What is important here is that Fred Ngumo, who's the man in the white shirt, was an ODM MP. The man in the middle is Louis Ngai. You also saw him on that car with Uhuru Kenyatta. He was standing at the end and asking people, do you understand? And making sure they understood and got the message. And of course you see Mr. Kenyatta. And there are further photos which I won't show at EVD PT D13 00131. Many other witnesses that we filed with the court with statements refer to seeing Mr. Kenyatta preaching peace. They are witness 18 at EVD PT D13 00546 at page 0744, confidential. Witness 19 at EVD PT D13 00547 at page 0753, confidential. Witness 26, EVD PT D13 00596 at page 0019. Witness 25, EVD PT D13 00557 at 0865. All those confidential as their witness statements. Witness 20 as well, confidential, EVD PT D13 00548 at 0761. And he refers to a particular issue because it's quite clear that Kikuyu people, PNU people would have been harmed, would have been upset, would have been worried about what was happening. And this witness says at paragraph 20, on some occasions people were chastising him, but since the government seemed to be ineffective, then people should be allowed to defend themselves. I clearly recall that in these instances he was at pains to persuade people that they should show restraint and that although the government was overwhelmed, they should be left to do their job, and any attempt to take matters into their own hands would only make the situation worse. This was something I heard him say on numerous occasions. Further to this, I also recall that he continued to maintain that the violence should stop and that peace should prevail. I was both impressed and encouraged that in such an environment, Uhuru was able to continue pushing for restraint. More so, I was equally impressed that he was able to get people to heed his calls for restraint. Can I turn now to other areas of the defence evidence which concern the prosecution case, the meetings, and in the very short period of time, 30 days before this case started, 15 days before filing our evidence, evidence that we were able to compile and put together which go to the issue here. Let's turn first to the 17th of November 2007 and the Yahya Centre meeting, witness 4 and his case. The court should look for background to EVD PT D13 00027, and it's a diary written by someone, and it contains day-by-day information of what was happening involving this person and refers to Uhuru Kenyatta. He refers to this particular date because it's the MPs and Civic Party nominations on the 17th of November. A very important political day. As he put it, it kicks off today throughout the Republic. As of today, 25 former MPs were off. Now, in taking these dates, which have shifted, as the court's been told by Miss Higgins, one is forced to find evidence that goes against and challenges the account given by witness 4. Confidential witness 6 at EVD PT D13 00479 at 0428. He says, on Saturday the 17th of November 2007, I did not go to the Yahya Centre with Uhuru Kenyatta. I have never been to the Yahya Centre with Uhuru Kenyatta in my life. He describes having been there on his own and with his wife. I do not find it possible to believe he would have met Mungiki or others in such circumstances and in a public place. It is inconceivable. He has never said to me he had such a meeting, and that was a person working with him day by day. He describes in paragraph 3 of his statement of what he was doing on the 17th of November, because, as I said, it was a very important day for the civic and parliamentary nominations, important for all the political parties, PNU, ODM, KANU, all the others. And as you know, Uhuru Kenyatta was the leader of the KANU party. He describes where he went on that day and the events taking place. And at one stage, because of the conflict between the civic and parliamentary candidates being nominated or not nominated, he said this meant that all the candidates and their representatives were camped in the KANU office or moving in and out of the office, completely disrupting the work we were trying to do. It was almost impossible to listen to the large number of people all trying to talk at once. For safety reasons, they took the files out of KANU and moved to Uhuru's private office in Chancery, where we could work without interruption or fear. And we also hired a room in Serena Hotel to be able to meet with various candidates at KANU offices. On the evening of the 17th of November, from 6 p.m. until 9:30, I was either in Uhuru Kenyatta's private office in Chancery or at Serena Hotel. I never went to the Yahya Centre at any time. It would have been helpful, perhaps, if the prosecutor, with the witness that they had made various investigations as to what was happening on the 17th of November, because they would have learned that that particular day was an important date in the calendar of Uhuru Kenyatta's party, as well as him and the other political parties. We suggest, out of thin air, this witness has taken a date, as he's taken other dates, and made up his account as to whom he met and what was said. Confidential witness 15. And we've included both these witnesses because of the similarity of their name, to cover one way or the other witness 4 being wrong about the identity of one person or the other. EVD PT D13 at 00543. And this witness says, I am not and never have been employed as his PA. And it's his name that's used by witness 4, alleging he was present at the Yahya Centre in the evening of the 17th of November. He was asked whether he was in a cafe in the Yahya Centre on the 2nd floor on Saturday the 17th of November. He describes that day of the 17th of November, and he describes the issues he was dealing with at the KANU offices, and describes the issues at the PNU headquarters. The committee was relocated to a secret location for security reasons. He names the place, and I can't pronounce the name, I apologize. It was at this point that Uhuru Kenyatta joined us on the evening of the 17th of November. Kenyatta attended as a result of the high-profile dispute over one of the nominations. He wanted to help us resolve the conflict as quickly as possible to avoid tarnishing the reputation of the coalition. After an entire night's deliberation and negotiation, we all left this place at approximately 6 a.m. on Sunday, after the committee had decided about the nomination. I did not go to the Yahya Centre on the 17th of November 2007. Very important evidence in the context of this case, Your Honours. The other date previously taken by witness 4, the 25th of November, Ms. Higgins has addressed you upon at length, and I refer you here to confidential witness 12 at EVD PT D13 00538 at page 0689, who produced records to show the closure times of all the coffee shops in the Yaya Centre on that particular day. And simply that account of the 25th of November is utterly proved by us to have been a fiction. Confidential witness 6, EVD PT D13 00479 at page 0429, also deals with the 25th of November and where Uhuru Kenyatta was. He attended a church service in Bomet on the invitation of a person who was the KANU candidate for Bomet. Uhuru Kenyatta later joined President Kibaki in Nairobi for the rally in Uhuru Park, which was documented in the media. On this Sunday, he didn't attend the youth rally in Uhuru Park with him when he addressed the crowd. Likewise, confidential witness 15, EVD PT D13 00543 at page 0724 also deals with the 25th of November. I've included it because it's been out there and there. And what I wanted to demonstrate was that dates that are given, we've gone back, researched, and proved that the event did not take place through other evidence. You see, this happens with people who tell lies, who don't really know what they're talking about. They pick a date, not realizing that 3 or 4 years later, someone's going to go back and check and look and see and find. In a very short period of time that we had, but we were able to do this and establish the falsity of the remark. Who knows what would have happened if we'd have had a much longer period of time to deal with their evidence. But the real issue is the 26th of November, the alleged meeting in a tent at State House, Mungiki, with Ambassador Muthara, President Kibaki, and Uhuru Kenyatta. So where was Uhuru Kenyatta on the 26th of November 2007? Witness 6, confidential EVD PT D13 00479 at page 0430 gives an account of events that day. It was another very important political day because it is a day after the Uhuru Park rally that the President addressed the youth in Nairobi. And the following day was a day much recorded in the media. And what I would like to do now is play a clip to you which shows a particular event that morning, precisely at the same time that Mr. Kenyatta is alleged to have been in a tent with Mungiki in State House. Play EVD PT D13 00201.
Over 250 parliamentary candidates will be flying the PNU flag who are in town for a date with the president. The first one since the conclusion of the joint nominations. But soon after they settled in the plenary hall, word came around that the president was not coming.
Right. You saw Uhuru Kenyatta attending a particular event there at the KICC. And it was a political event that he actually skipped. He remained at State House, as you know, and as you've been directed to the evidence, where he met a group of young people that day, but without Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta was attending the event that he skipped and should have been at, and that was at the KICC. You see a slightly longer clip of that in the disclosure to you. You actually see them rolling up the red carpet when the President doesn't attend after the other delegates have been there. And we'll just, to show that matter, put on the screen EVD PT D13 00199, a newspaper article showing President Kibaki missed the function at the KICC on the 26th of November 2007. Just need to see the headline there, which refers to the 26th of November, Kibaki skips PNU strategy meeting, a meeting he was scheduled to attend. Witness 6 takes up the story, and I've already given you the reference number for him at paragraph 8. On the 26th of November 2007, Uhuru Kenyatta attended the PNU affiliates meeting at KICC in the morning. This meeting was to resolve the issues that had come up as a result of the nomination exercise that had just been completed. The President was to attend the meeting, but unexpectedly did not attend and left the strategy meeting to be chaired by the Vice President. And he produced a video clip of Uhuru Kenyatta attending and the carpet being rolled up. And he produced the copy of the newspaper report as to the failure to attend. After the KICC meeting, all the parliamentary aspirants attended a luncheon at the Intercontinental Hotel at the invitation of the President, which he did attend, and he can be seen in the same video clip addressing the candidates. And he produced the newspaper photograph. Let's have a look then at EVD PT D13 00200, just a picture of politicians walking from the KICC to the Intercontinental. There you are. So, Your Honours, you take a high-profile person as your target to tell lies about. Sometimes you can track them through the media and elsewhere to show what they were actually doing. Kibaki didn't go to the KICC meeting. Uhuru Kenyatta did. And Uhuru Kenyatta went to the Intercontinental meeting that followed, or lunch, that followed thereafter, which Kibaki did attend. So who then was at State House at that day? Let's go to confidential witness 23, EVD PT D13 00551 at page 0800. He refers in his statement to the fact that the previous day the President was aware that there had been a big problem in the Youth Charter which had not been communicated at the rally, and that this problem was due to mismanagement of the programme. And then he says Kimonyi, as a result, organised a special meeting the following day with President Kibaki. The meeting was to take place at the State House. And he identifies through a document produced from State House who was present at that meeting, and he identifies those people. He also refers to the video that you saw in the Muthara case of President Kibaki meeting young people on the 26th of November. At around 10:30 a.m., we met President Kibaki in one of the boardrooms at State House. The meeting lasted for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. Francis Muthara, Stanley Muraji, Hislop Aipu, Cyrus Gitwai, and Mohammed Kuti accompanied President Kibaki. Uhuru Kenyatta did not attend the meeting. This witness who was there describes handing the Youth Charter to the President. And he says, this was the only thing that was handed to the President during the meeting. And he describes the discussion with the President. Annexed to his statements are various documents that identify the people who were present. I'll just read them out. EVD PT D13 00441 and EVD PT D13 00447 and EVD PT D13 00448. I have been asked whether Uhuru Kenyatta was present at the meeting. He was not. Paragraph 102. I have been asked whether any Mungiki members were present at the meeting. To my knowledge, there were no Mungiki members present. Neither the alleged presence of any Mungiki members nor any issues relating thereto were discussed at that meeting. Further corroborative witnesses on this point can be seen in their statements at Confidential Witness 7, EVD PT D13 00491, Confidential Witness 8, EVD PT D13 00504, and I will cite here the Muthara team evidence also on this point. Confidential Witness EVD PT D12 00054. We don't have the time now to produce all pictures and videos for you to look at it and see that event. But what it tells beyond a peradventure is that witness 4 has lied about the 26th of November. And as I said, you take high-profile people, you make allegations, one day that will come and bite you from behind when people go back to research and investigate and are able to identify exactly where they were. Let us now turn to the 30th of December 2007. Another alleged State House meeting. Prospect, as I look at it now, of State House in Nairobi, Kenya, being a place where Mungiki are just seemed to able to walk in at will, is astonishing, and people in Kenya listening to it would be astonished to hear such facts being relied upon. But the 30th of December 2007, a date probably not foremost in the mind of OTP Witness 12 as to its political significance, because he wasn't able to perhaps fully take part in such events. But that was the day of the swearing in of President Kibaki. Let us go to EVD PT D13 00384 to remind us of the sort of occasion that this was.
That's the transcript.
Yeah.
73. 0073 is the clip.
What I'm going to do is actually refer to a transcript for this clip. Those who presided over Kibaki's swearing-in ceremony said the election results were dramatic. No matter how many people were annoyed by the results, The winner remains the winner, whether he is supported by all ethnic groups or not. But you saw that clip earlier in these proceedings, and you would have noticed the line of ladies and gentlemen dressed up for a formal ceremony and the swearing in of the head of state. Right down at the far end of the clip, if you look very carefully with a magnifying glass, you'll see Mr. Kenyatta standing amongst the line of people as he was present there. But earlier in that day, on the 30th of December 2007, the results, of course, had come in, and Uhuru Kenyatta was at the KICC building. So before the swearing in, he'd been at the KICC building, and the results had come in after the Election Commission of Kenya had announced Mwai Kibaki as the winner. We'll just show a clip there of Uhuru Kenyatta at the KICC. EVD PT D13 00073.
Wa Kibaki wanasema matokeo hayo ni kwa ajili ya mkondo wa demokrasia na haijalishi ni wangapi wamekerwa. Mshindi ni mshindi, awe ameungwa mkono na makabila yote au la.
Reason why we see police there and other representatives of the forces from the Kenyan armed forces is because that building was cleared as a result of the disturbances taking place at the time of the announcement of the results. And that's where Uhuru Kenyatta was on that day. Let's just think about it. 30th of December, what was happening? The swearing in of the president, the announcement of the results. That was the business of the day. It wasn't setting up meetings with Mungiki in such a formal setting as State House in the grounds of the premises of the head of state. You've been told how many people live and work there and the kind of premises that it is. It is utterly beyond belief that someone, unless they had no knowledge at all of what was happening on that particular day, unless they made it up, would choose such a date to describe a meeting between people and them in State House. Mungiki around the swearing in of the head of state? I think not. We will now play EVD PT D12 00191.
Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu unisaidie.
A formal recorded occasion. Witness statements that we have taken and presented to the court from people with Uhuru Kenyatta can be cited as follows. Confidential Witness 20, EVD PT D13 00548 at 0759. And this witness states that after the ceremony at State House, we went to Uhuru Kenyatta's house in Nairobi and the phone started to ring. It was people pleading for help as they were being attacked. Calls came in from everywhere. I answered some calls. Family members were also saying they received calls. It was clear big trouble had started in certain parts of the country, and all we could do was hope people stayed by calm. Various other witnesses to be cited in support can be seen in the context of Ambassador Muthara's case. Let us now turn to the 3rd of January and witness 4, the meeting at the Nairobi Members Club. Again, one stands back and draws breath over the Nairobi Members Club, a traditional country club almost, a club with oak-panelled hallway, a club that is a formal place with a membership of a very restricted nature. Visitors are signed in, mobile phones are not allowed to be used, and there are rules concerning the use of mobile phones within the building. And we have a scene put before this court which could only come from the mind of someone who had never been there in their life, of 4 Mungiki walking in to the most prestigious club, the equivalent of the Carlton Club in London, I dare say, and being able to proceed through the door, past the reception, wander their way round to the breakfast area, and sit down at a table, and someone shouts across the room to them to join them. You have statements from witnesses detailing the likelihood of that, and the fact from people who were present there at the time that such an event did not take place, cited to you by the Muthara. ODM had the previous night called for a day of mass action and for people to congregate in Uhuru Park. They were looking to get 1 million people. That morning we stayed around the house waiting to see what would materialize with the so-called rally. At mid-morning we were joined by members of the family and others. We realized that due to Uhuru's high profile, and on the advice of his security detail, that he would not be able to leave the compound of the house. Muhoho and I left to see what was happening in town. We made a tour from the house, and he describes where they went. And he describes being on the tour and seeing the large security presence. And in fact, an MP who was with a group that was chased up a valley road by a group of policemen in a Land Rover. He remembers this as he knew the MP personally. As he said, 2 incidents that I recall stood out was the press statement made by ODM leaders led by the Honourable Odinga, in which they insinuated that Uhuru Kenyatta was meeting in State House with Mungiki, and the second being the President's address to the nation. I remember these 2 because the statement by the ODM leaders angered Uhuru a lot, and he directed his lawyers to take action immediately, and the President's statement was the first time he addressed the nation since the Troubles began. See also Confidential Witness 6, EVD, PT, D13, 00479 at page 0411. Some of the meetings, of course, have imprecise dates, and that makes it very difficult for anyone to get to grips with what has been said. early January 2008 meetings at the KICC and State House. I suppose as you take particular dates and they're closed off and closed down, you move around and get to generic dates and generic statements about such meetings. But that's the sort of allegation that we have to face. If you go to witness 25, confidential, EVD PT D13 00557 at 0861, you will see his accounts of meetings at State House, who was present, and Uhuru Kenyatta's involvement or not in any such meetings. This witness says, "I did not meet anyone at State House who I considered to be Mungiki. However, it is very difficult to be able to determine who is or is not a Mungiki member. I am not aware of any visit to State House by the Mungiki." A key figure in the statement of witnesses 11 and 12 is someone I will identify as confidential witness 24. A statement was taken by us from him, and it's at EVD PT D13 00552. He describes dealings that he has had with witness 11 and witness 12, and he gives a particular date and place. He describes what they have done for a living and how he knows them. He was aware that they were people who were, so to speak, on the street, and they, again, in course with their usual practice, as they had done with the defence team, our witness, Mr. Ngai, also tried to extort money from him. He was a witness central in their accounts, and I suggest you read his statement, because it is alarming that the prosecution did not seek corroboration of anything those witnesses said and looked to investigate where they were or what they did at the time of the post-election violence. One of the viva voce witnesses we will be calling, he will deal precisely with where they were and what they said and did, so far as he knows, during January and February 2008. This witness described meeting Uhuru Kenyatta for the first time on the 26th of November 2009. So utterly contradicts by 2 years allegations made by witnesses for the prosecution, numbers 11 and 12. Utterly contradicts them as to the veracity of their accounts. And he describes knowing the extortion document at EVD PT D13 00555 produced by these witnesses, because he confirms he knows the document. It was brought to him by OTP witness 11 and witness 12, and it was given to him to look at in the Sagret Hotel in Nairobi. He denied that he was involved in the preparation of that document. But there it is. That's what we were able to do in that passage of time, and in our submission it is utterly overwhelming as to the undermining of the facts of these meetings by recorded events and material evidence. Of course you always get that question, well, you can't say every minute of every day you know where someone was or what they did. But let's look at the generality of this in a way of how people were conducting themselves and what was going on. Let's look at the reality of what was taking place. let's look at where he was, as others are able to say and deliberately specify and prove through the media. I'm now going to turn to the last of the matters that I will deal with in our response to the prosecution case at this stage. And it concerns fundraising, and that has been an element within the decision-making of the court so far as to what was happening. The court has referred in its decisions on the permission to investigate, as well as the decision to issue the summonses, and relied store on fundraising meetings that were alleged to be for purposes of retaliation and revenge, as well as holding meetings to try and cause revenge against the ODM supporters, as termed in this case. Well, the defence have many statements involved from people who were exactly at those meetings, and I will try and go through them one by one. The Sagret Hotel on the 11th of January 2008. I refer the court to witness 3 at EVD PT D13 00424, who refers to going to a meeting at the Sagret Hotel in January, discussing with others what we could do. It was organised by Paul Muhoho, Uhuru's uncle, and this witness has found documents from the time that show he collected goods from Debenham & Fear Limited on the 12th of January, which causes him to think that the first such meeting was on the 11th of January. This document refers to the supply of goods and clothes to Uhuru Kenyatta's office, as I used his name to encourage people to give. He is a good, respected man, and I felt his name would help people to give. And he produces a document in Kenyatta's name, and it's a receipt for oil. I'm not going to look at every single one, but I would like us just to look at this as I've started there. EVD PT D13 00421.
Just to clarify for the record that this is a confidential document as well.
It can be public, this. The statement is confidential, the document, no need to be. "81 cartons of fresh soya milk, 22 cartons of cereal, 4 jackets, donation for displaced people." Thank you very much. This witness describes that this event was taking place. People were coming to the meeting. There were decisions to supply goods to help the displaced people, and is a genuine humanitarian exercise. At paragraph 8 of his statement, he describes collecting goods from millers, along with all other goods that went to Nakuru that was taken there. "I saw these goods were flagged off on my lorries," on his lorries, this witness's lorries, from the Kenyatta International Conference Centre. This was at an occasion attended by a number of politicians, including Uhuru Kenyatta, Vice President Kalonzo, and Professor Ongeri. Let me have a look now at EVD PT D13 00422, which can be public. and donations for people who were victims of the clashes. Let's look at this from the Red Cross. EVD PT D13 00423 at page 0078. Again, it can be public. Kenya Red Cross. You can see the quantities there, very large quantities. Right, I will tell the court what's been going on here. There were meetings. People were meeting. They were concerned about victims. These meetings, however, have been utterly misrepresented and distorted as to their true nature of what good people were doing at the time. I've just chosen a selection of documents there that you can take the thread from. No one was keeping these documents. They arise by luck more than anything else. But there you have it. That's what was happening. And you have to be very careful in a politically charged investigation and a politically charged atmosphere when allegations are bandied around about one side doing this. They were doing this. They were doing that. Sure, there were meetings. But those were not the meetings that they're talking about. People sitting around describing how to revenge themselves against other people. Not at all. In fact, those good works have been utterly misrepresented and distorted to be a complete travesty of the truth. A careful investigation of agencies such as this would have produced evidence. What if the court had had this evidence before it issued its decisions and relied on these fundraising allegations and had statements from people physically at meetings who were able to describe what took place? I hope this will be of interest to the Victims' Council. I'll go to Blue Post Hotel on the 3rd and 28th of January and the 26th of February 2008. OTP witnesses 11 and 12 refer to Blue Post. Confidential witness 2 at EVD PT D13 00420 at page 0065. We agreed that I would look to contact Blue Post in Thika and book a room for a meeting. And we would then get clergy and other respected groups to meet in the hotel. The purpose of the first meeting was to ask everyone if they agreed that we must do something. This was at Blue Post. I always have my meetings there. It's a central location, as we were calling people from all over Central Province. We identified different community elders and clergymen to attend. The first meeting was on 3rd of January. About 40 people came. It was 10 a.m. The meeting lasted 3 hours. Uhuru Kenyatta was not there. They agreed, paragraph 18, to form a joint council that will seek to do relief and help our people and to represent them and their issues. They even wrote a small paper and mandated a few people to set up a relief organisation to begin work on creating a vehicle that could be used and which we now refer to as the Mount Kenya Disaster Relief Fund. At this meeting, we didn't discuss violence. 70% of the people were clergymen. witnesses 11 and 12 wouldn't know that, of course. The aim of the meeting was to figure out how to assist. They met again at Blue Post on the 28th of January and the 26th of February, and they set up the Mount Kenya Disaster Fund. They instructed a lawyer to assist them and opened up a bank account. And we began reaching out to various bodies to tell them about our relief efforts. I find suggestions at the meetings I have referred to at Blue Post were used to plan warfare and violence as ludicrous. No politicians attended these meetings. Once peace was declared, our efforts changed into creating the GEMA Cultural Association as a means of pursuing efforts to make sure it never happens again. He produces full documents of the meetings at Blue Post, from the hire of the room to what he did to the rental of the hall. And a document, EVD, let's see this, PT D13 00416. It can be public. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Mount Kenya Disaster Relief Fund refers to the displacement in various parts of the country. Massive displacement. Community leaders have begun an initiative. They identify who've been displaced, located, who've been the victims of crimes, how to help people, etc., etc. We have no time to go into the detail, but I hope I've guided the court round the sources of the evidence. Let's go to the Landmark Hotel, 11th of January 2008, also known as the Jacaranda Hotel. Confidential witness 1 at EVD PT D13 00409 relates what took place at the Jacaranda Hotel. And I've seen the footnotes of your decisions and the materials you've looked at, Your Honours, as to where you get the view that these places were being used as some sort of meeting places to plan violence. It is far, far from the truth. The accounts you've been reading are from people who were never there. They are people who have known about something happening and utterly distorted the truth. They elect a person, the late surveyor Njoroge, to act as chairman of the Nakuru Committee, who could call meetings, head discussions. They had a treasurer who was made responsible for collecting money. He refers to the meeting on the 11th of January 2008. They had a committee secretary. They kept a record of donations of food, money and clothing. It was to assist post-election violence victims by sourcing and arranging for the provision and distribution of necessary materials, including food, water, shelter and clothing. They attempted to raise funds in order to pay costs for transporting aid from Nairobi to Molo. These were self-help initiatives being done on the ground by good people, much incensed by what has been said and written about in relation to them. The meeting at Jacaranda was organised so that anybody from Nairobi with relatives or interest in Molo could meet to discuss the best way to provide aid. And it was intended that the first meeting would be a precursor to a bigger meeting. I've been asked whether the issue of the Mungiki, or funding retaliatory violence, was mentioned at this meeting. No mention was made during this meeting about the Mungiki or raising funds for retaliatory violence. I can't remember Uhuru Kenyatta being mentioned at all at the meeting. All corroborated, confidential witness 14, EVD PT D13 00542, confidential witness 17, EVD PT D13 00545. You've been referred to the Jacaranda Hotel on the 19th of January 2008. The same witness, number 1, at EVD PT D13 00409. Paragraph 24 deals with this meeting. The attendees were predominantly Kikuyu and were not aligned to any particular or political party. It wasn't a political meeting, but convened to address the sufferings of IDPs in Molo. And they went on to try and organise further funds for relief efforts. The Mungiki were not mentioned. I'm not aware of anyone discussing retaliatory violence, etc., corroborated by the same witnesses I've already referred you to. Another venue in the various papers, Galileo, 24th of January 2008, confidential witness 10 at EVD PT D13 00529. And he refers to organising a meeting for displaced persons. His intention when he was organising the event was to see what young entrepreneurs and professionals from the Gikuyu, Embu, Mero community could contribute to help ease the sufferings of victims. He envisioned the potential Galileo event would be aimed at raising funds to purchase essential items such as food, water and blankets. Some politicians attended. Uhuru Kenyatta did attend on the 24th of January 2008. He attended at about 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. He appeared tired, even commenting on how sleepy he was, and he briefly addressed the attendees. George Thuo was there and called him, urging him to come to the Galileo. He arrived alone and was there for an hour. He addressed the group briefly, stating that we all needed to help our people by providing blankets, food and water. He said that to help also means that one should provide assistance in other ways. For example, if you have a spare piece of land, then you should allow IDPs to use it for a period. Kenyatta also explained that he had been to Kikuyu to appeal to youths not to cause chaos and commit acts of violence. He spoke for 3 to 5 minutes. I did not hear anyone speak about the need to raise funds to carry out retaliatory or revenge attacks. Neither did any attendee or speaker advocate the use of violence generally. It's corroborated by witness 9, EVD PT D13 00518. Confidential, also confidential witness 22, EVD PT D13 00550. Also corroborated by confidential witness 25 at EVD PT D13 00557 and confidential witness 26 EVD PT D13 00596, although you will be hearing from that witness as he is our second live witness in this court. The KICC on the 30th of January 2008. Witness 11 was there, describes what happens. That's at EVD PT D13 00535. He took photographs at the KICC as it was the launch of the National Humanitarian Fund for Mitigation of Effects and and resettlement of victims of post-2007 election violence. He stayed for the duration of this event, and it concerned the relief effort for the entire country. Uhuru Kenyatta attended this event. I didn't take a photo of him arriving, but he is present in a crowd scene I took. There was no mention of retaliatory violence at this meeting. It concerned organising relief for all the people of Kenya. And you can see that photograph at EVD PT D13 00533 and the next one at 00534. KICC on the 15th of February 2008. This witness number 10 who was there, EVD PT D13 00529. This event on the 15th of February was advertised in the Daily Nation newspaper, and he confirms the advert. We shall now look at the advert and you can see for yourselves the nature of event. It won't be confidential, it can be made public. EVD PT D13 00525. And I anticipate I'll be finished in about 3 minutes, Your Honours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kay.
Yes. The advert is down in the bottom left-hand corner. As this witness says, it was organised for perfectly respectable and legitimate purposes. It was an event that was set up to help and provide organised and effective relief to displaced individuals from Rift Valley. The Mount Kenya Region Disaster Fund was to receive the contributions. And the money was used to buy food, clothing, and to give shelter. Witness EVD PT D13 00428 corroborates that event which he attended, saying it wasn't planned for retaliatory violence. Confidential witness 13, EVD PT D13 00541, corroborates. Confidential witness 18, a bishop, EVD PT D13 00546, who was present there. Confidential witness 22, EVD PT D13 00550. Well, that comes to the end of my presentation of you of our journey through the evidence in approximately 2 hours. What we've endeavoured to show this court is that we have produced evidence that rises above the level of gossip, rumour, and people just saying bad things against others. One saw in that clip on the 3rd of January outside the Masaba hospital that I used in my opening statement how dangerous speech from people when made publicly on the media can go when allegations are made that are utterly unsubstantiated, can be fed around the system, and good men who've done good deeds be defamed and slandered. And you have had put before you live evidence. This has not been the words of a lawyer. We've deliberately avoided that. This has been material, direct evidence that shows the acts and conduct of Uhuru Kenyatta at this time, and logically follows a progression, as I have shown you, from when he tells them to use the courts, when he tells them to have dialogue, when he tells them to follow the rule of law, to when he physically goes out on the streets, stands on a car, and make no bones about it, that group were after revenge and retaliation. They'd blocked the road. When you look at the full clip, you actually see the scene. And he stopped that happening. And it took persuading. He had to get into their minds, as you'll see in that clip, for 15 minutes and work the crowd in very difficult circumstances. But there was no doubt what he had done at the end, as the witness who produced that video said. And as indeed there's a spontaneous letter we've exhibited, which I haven't read out today, from someone who watched it, who, when you issued your summons on the 15th of December, wrote a letter that day to us, and that's been exhibited, who saw that scene. He's a lawyer, and he's from the other community, and he thanked Kenyatta for what he did that day. Luckily we got it, because when you're facing a wealth and plethora of bits of gossip here, bits of gossip there, people saying things and talking about things they absolutely know nothing about, have never been involved with, you get an utterly artificial presentation. And as for the Mungiki going around in army trucks up to State House, it's like a bunch of London rioters in a red double-decker bus taking the 38 from East London down to Victoria Station and driving into Buckingham Palace on their way. It's exactly the same scene. It's inconceivable. We ask this court to get itself, as I know it will, because you are dedicated judges, firmly into the mind of looking very carefully at this evidence, because we say this case should not go beyond this stage, and not only have we destroyed the prosecution case and exposed it for what it was, we have shown you the other side, the actuality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kay. Counsel Kay, I would like to thank Ms. Higgins once again for being very concise and to the point. Thank you. We are quite behind our schedule. I'm speaking in general. Maybe, of course, today we shan't be able to do a proper job with regard to questioning of Mr. Kenyatta, but just to save time, he might be sworn in now, so that tomorrow you proceed with the questioning. This is the proposal from the chamber.
Thank you very much, Your Honour. That we'd be all for saving time if that could help the court.
Yes, thank you very much. So, Mr. Kenyatta, would you please? First of all, I have once again to remind you of your right pursuant to Article 67, paragraph 1H, to make an unsworn statement in your defense. So the choice is yours.
The choice is I'll make the sworn statement.
So if you decide for the sworn statement, this is your right. We cannot impose on you to take advantage of the right to make an unsworn statement. Please just go. And of course you have been throughout the proceedings, on the days of the proceedings up until now, and you know what are the rules. Just to remind you about the jurisdiction of the court regarding false testimony. So, court officer, would you help Mr. Kenyatta?
Yes, Mother President. Please repeat after me. I solemnly declare.
I solemnly declare
that I will speak the truth.
that I will speak the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth,
And nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenyatta. Of course, I'm not going to ask you to identify yourself. It has been done during the first day. And our suggestion is, of course, it will be your team, Counsel K, that you start. And thereafter, the prosecutor. And you will have the last, you will have the floor last if you would like to ask some questions, but obviously this is going to happen tomorrow. If you would like, you might proceed with some questions, or we just postpone it for tomorrow, because the time is very limited.
It may be better to do it tomorrow.
It is much better. So on behalf of the Chamber, there is nothing more to add to what I have already said. If the parties, the prosecutor, the legal representative for victims, I'm looking just at Mr. Anya, not because he's a party, but just because he's to my left. If someone of the defense teams would like to raise some issue, we have some minutes, which does not mean that we have to stay in the courtroom if it is not necessary. So then we proceed tomorrow at 2:30 with you, Mr. Kenyatta, to be questioned in the order that you know very well, and I have mentioned it shortly now. I would like to thank everyone. Today was quite a peaceful day. The prosecutor's team, the teams of the defense, in particular the defense team of Mr. Kenyatta, Mr. K and his team, Mr. Anya, our legal officers, the public, always the interpreters, thank you very much, the court reporters, the security officers, the stenographers, everyone. Enjoy, good evening, see you tomorrow.
All rise, we will then.